What if I told you that sometimes the mess in a man's life isn't the end of the story? It's the place where God begins rebuilding it. That the same God who raises the dead can step into the darkest moments of a man's life, addiction, shame, regret, and turn it into something completely different. But there's a moment every man has to face, a moment where he stops trying to fix it himself, humbles himself before his Father, and finally calls out to God for help. When a man surrenders, he becomes obedient. And that's when God begins rewriting the story. Before we get into today's episode, I owe you all a quick explanation. It's been about 3 months since I've released an episode of Domestic Dad Cleaning Up the Mess. And the honest truth is, life has been full. I'm now a 43-year-old father of 4, and I've got a 1-year-old daughter at home who currently believes that her full-time job is requiring about 100% of daddy's attention. And to be honest, she's pretty convincing. At the same time, things at my day job have been getting busier with growing responsibilities, which is a good thing, but it's taken away from some of the time that I normally spend crafting these episodes. But I want you to know something. The reason this podcast exists is because stories like the one that you're about to hear matter. When you take time to listen to these conversations and share them with others, you're helping people see what God is doing in the world through ordinary men whose lives have been completely transformed. People need to hear that redemption is real. And today's story is one of those stories. My guest today is a man who once found himself deep in addiction, heroin, meth, alcohol, chasing things that promised relief but only brought more chaos. A man who, at one point, found himself sitting on the floor with a gun in his hand, ready to end his life. But God had other plans. Keith's story is one of the stories that reminds you just how powerful God's grace can be. From addiction to surrender, from despair to obedience, from running from God to now helping lead other men to Christ. And what's even more incredible to me is how many similarities there are between Keith's story and my own. In a lot of ways, it's almost uncanny. The battles with addiction, the rock bottom moments, the search for purpose, and the moment when God stepped in and began rewriting the story. If you've ever felt too far gone, messed up too badly, or lived too deep in the mess to come back, this episode is for you. So grab a mop, because today we're cleaning up the mess. Has life gotten off track? Are you looking for some inspiration to be a better dad? People say all the time, I'd die for my kids. Okay. But would you live for them? Actually live? Get yourself healthy? Make better choices? Eliminate distractions? Would you lead them more intentionally? Would you get sober? Take better care of yourself, physically and mentally. You'd only have to die once. Your kids don't need you to die for them. They need you to live. Have you thought about getting sober, but you just didn't know where to start? If so, welcome to the Domestic Dad Podcast, your go-to destination for candid discussions on journeys into sobriety, parenting, and personal growth. I'm Nick Barnett, founder of the Domestic Dad Project. I've been a dad since I was 18 years old. I'm also a trauma survivor, an alcoholic, divorced, happily remarried, hardworking, humbled by life, domestic dad. On this podcast, you'll find interviews with people who have walked that path, including myself, coaches, mentors, and pastors who can help guide you on your journey. You're going to need resources and inspiration. You can find that here. This is the community for you to lean into so you can start living life as a domestic dad. So let's grab a mop and start cleaning up the mess. Keith Jeffries, welcome to Domestic Dad Cleaning Up the Mess.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's here, like, knowing your story, which you're going to share today. It's really an honor having you, because I feel like our stories are there's a lot of roads that intersect in our stuff. So when I heard like kind of like where you were at in your journey and everything else like that, I was like, oh man, I gotta have Keith on the show. There's somebody out there that has gone through something, and I'm one of them that you've gone through, that I'm like, oh man, that helped me. So Yeah, man. I always start these. With like a question because I want to know. It helps the viewers understand where you came from, dude. So where did you come from, dude? What was childhood like for Keith Jeffries?
Childhood. I would say I lived a pretty normal childhood. My parents were very loving, good parents. I had all the right people in my life, but I didn't make the right decisions.
Ooh. Me too.
Very loving parents that were caring, always, looking after us, wanting to give us the best life that they could possibly give. We grew up pretty poor family. But it didn't take away from the fact that I had loving parents and that cared for us.
Yeah.
One thing I would say with all of it, I didn't grow up in church. Didn't go to church. It just wasn't something in our family was church. Knowing now, looking back, like I see like my dad and my mom were believers, but it wasn't something that was kind of brought to light or something we had to do. But growing up, I guess getting in it, I was in and out of trouble. I don't know how much you want me to get into this. But at a young age, I was, I had older brothers, older siblings. So like,
were you the youngest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the baby of the family. And, as the baby, you always want to be like your older brother.
You have heroes, dude. You have built-in heroes.
You want to be like your older brothers. So like, my older brothers are 4 years older than me, and it's like, God, they're going out, they're having fun, they're drinking. What do I want to do? I want to go out and be like my older brothers, man. I'm going to go out and drink and party and have fun. And that started at a young age. I remember the first time I got drunk was graduating my 8th grade year. Went out and partied with the big dogs, gotta.
How much older were they than you?
So my brother James he is 4 years older than me.
Yep.
And then my brother Solomon's 6 years older than me.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was keeping up with the older guys, and getting to experience that.
Yeah. Yeah. What was school like for you? I mean, you jumped to 8th grade, but how was school? Were you a good student?
No.
Were you like me and just lazy, or was it just
yes,
like it just
100% laziness? Like,
yeah.
And it would drive my teachers nuts because like I refused to do any homework. I was a rebellion. I didn't want to do anything that anyone told me like was the right way of living. So I wouldn't do homework, just refused to do it. And then it would come test time and I'd ace the test. So it wasn't that I was a dumb kid. I was actually really
common
smart.
Sense.
Yeah. But I just didn't want to apply it and go through the motions and the work. So as far as tests goes, like I'd ace the test, so I'd pass. But I think I graduated with like a 1.7 grade GPA, it was enough to get by.
Yeah. And everything was like right on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I really lived my life, was just like enough to get by. So yeah, school it felt like it was a chore. Felt like it was something I had to do and, didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So I was not a good student, if you will.
Tell me about your parents, Keith.
As far as all of it, or
I mean, whatever I'm looking for like what life was like. And I think a lot of times, like for me, my parents were separated and, there was a period where my mom dated and then my mom like fell in love and got married. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there was just, I can think of all kinds of, situations that like had an impact on me, as I was growing up. You know what I mean? And I'm just curious, like what your parents were like and like what kind of a life that they provided for you, what kind of guidance they provided for you.
As far as my parents go, they were very loving. My mom was the more present parent in the household. My dad was off working, fishing, providing for the family. He did a lot of bass tournaments, and that was something we ended up doing together.
He's a fisherman.
Yeah. So that was a kind of a hobby we grew to love together. But my parents were always there. They were there for sporting events. They were there, for everything, to when we were doing good, they were there to celebrate the joy. They were there when times were bad. So like my parents were, I would say, very good parents, very, very loving. My mom did the best she could with us. Being, if you will, she wasn't a single mom, but my dad just wasn't around. So, I would say she kind of had to try to play the dad role. And that was something we needed. We still needed dad, and dad was trying to provide for us. But he had it was something that was very tough for me because I always wanted dad.
Yeah.
I always wanted dad there, and dad was never there.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of hurt from that aspect. And I know he didn't do it intentionally. He loved us, and he was doing what was best for the family. But it's a void that I have still to this day, some dad hurt.
Yeah.
Because dad just was never around for us.
When you needed him to be there.
When we needed him.
For the hard lessons, for the important stuff.
So, and my mom kind of just let me run amok, at 12 years or 13 years old when I started drinking. Keith got to just go and be out till 4:00 in the morning. Yeah. No repercussions, it was okay. Keith just shows up whenever he wants, drunk at 13 years old. It's okay. I mean, I know it's not okay. That's not, but there was no punishment for it. So I just kept going down that path of drinking and doing, and that was where I needed my dad. And he just wasn't there.
Yeah. Man, I can, my parents were separated, and I have a great stepdad and I have a great dad, but stepdad's not the dad, you know what I mean? And there's certain things that you need your dad for. Yeah. And, as much as my dad wanted to be there, he lived out of town, and he had another family. You know what I mean? Like he actually had two other families. Like he got married and then divorced, and then he had another family, and you know what I mean? And it was always kind of like, I had a certain sense of, what about us? You know what I mean? For me and my brother, I was like, hey, what about us? There was some of that stuff, and I love my dad dearly. My dad is a superhero to me in my life. He always has been, but when they separated, that creates a void. And I think it creates a void for every kid when your parents separate. You know what I mean? Yeah. You lose some not only stability, but like some confidence.
Yeah.
I think I was talking with somebody the other day, a good friend of mine, and we were kind of like rehashing what that looked like from like a kid standpoint, what you see in kids as like when parents get divorced. And it's like there's a level of confidence that just decreases when dad's not around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that we try to compensate for it. And you started drinking at 13. I started drinking at 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was all these like little things that like, and we'd try to like posture and make it seem like it's okay that they weren't around. But like, truly, man, there's a loss when dad's not always around. And whether that's from marriage or just extracurricular activities or things like that, when dads leave, man, it creates, like you said, to your point, it creates a void.
It does. And I think that's why so it was after I graduated school, but my parents separated. And that was, I think, probably what hurt the worst was the parents separating and dealing with that at that age and getting put, in the middle of it as a young adult, 19 years old, of getting put in the middle of a divorce between your parents. And then I guess now I can see it where the marriage, why dad wasn't around and probably why it didn't work was because dad wasn't around. But seeing it now, like, I feel like that's why the divorce happened was dad, and I spoke about it, about how, I wanted dad around to kind of look up to, and he wasn't, and he was never there for my mom. He really wasn't, and my mom's is a great woman, but he was never there for her. So after 25 years of marriage, I think she finally, wanted to feel love again. And that's still something I struggle with, because, we're like our parents, and loving, me being married now, I find myself a lot of the times living the life my dad was towards my mom. And I'm like, this isn't what my wife, Kayla, deserves, is the same husband that my mom had.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a reminder in those moments, like, well, I got to make a change.
Yeah.
Because I don't want her to feel what I saw my mom feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good, dude. That's good. Yeah. What was your first job?
In high school, or?
I don't know.
First job was, I worked for a farmer in high school. Loved it. It was great. Lee Dvorak was his name, and he honestly took that father role for me. He was my dad going through high school. He knew there were times I remember as a kid, I was probably 15, 16 years old at the time, went out drinking real bad and hungover. I wasn't going to work that day with Lee. What did Lee do? He showed up at my house, walked in the door, and drugged me out of bed. We were doing small square bales that day. And I don't know if you've ever done any farm work, but small square bales, they're about 80, depending on how wet they are, they're 80 to 100 pounds. And I'm at that point, I was wrestling 103 pounds. So there ain't much to keep, and I'm hungover, and I'm having to lift these heavy square bales above my head. And I remember we'd switch after every hay rack. He
needed you.
Yeah. We'd switch who would do the square bale, who would be on the rack and who was driving the tractor. So somebody got a break. Well, that day Lee said, nope, you decided to go and do man stuff. So now you're going to be a man and you're going to do all the small squares. So for about 6 hours that day, I was on the hay rack.
Oh no.
Lifting bales above my head, stacking them all day. And man, like, I still remember that lesson, to this day, of like, if you got work tomorrow, you don't go out and get drunk. You got to be an adult. So like,
if you're going to play, you got to pay.
Yeah. And he made me pay that day. So
yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I grew up farming with him and raising cattle, and that was my father in high school.
Yeah. You alluded to the first time that you ever had a drink was at 13 years old. And then when you got to go out with your brothers, you kind of felt like, you're drinking with the big dogs. What came next? Take me through your story.
So through high school, just continued drinking. Every weekend, going out with the older kids, drinking. And then I found marijuana. Started smoking weed at 17 years old, I would say. Smoking weed pretty well daily. Hanging out with the crew that, I then moved myself around those kids that also would partake in drugs and alcohol. But it started out with weed, continuing the drinking, smoking weed. Right out of high school, I started experimenting with cocaine, prescription pills.
What kind of pills?
Opioids. So
Vicodin,
oxycodone, Adderall, anything.
Was that before the opioid crisis and it was readily available, or was it like after, when everything kind of like cracked down?
So it was readily available still. Yeah. Pretty easily to get, they were starting to kind of limit it, but shoot, I remember walking into the doctor complaining about my back being hurt, and they prescribed me, I think there were 2 milligrams of, what was it? It was stronger than morphine. I can't remember the exact name of it.
Percocet or oxycodone.
Yeah, it's stronger. It was like stuff they give to people that were dying. Like, it was like, what's the...
Dilaudid? I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, it was
a very strong painkiller.
Yeah, shouldn't have been prescribed it, but man, my back hurt.
Yeah,
you know,
I've had a yeah. My doctor was like, dude, your back hurts quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, another 90, please.
Yeah. So that then they started cracking down on the prescription pills.
Yep.
Couldn't get them anymore. So what did I decide to experiment with? It was heroin.
Oh my gosh.
I started experimenting with heroin, and when
how old were you at this point? Sorry,
19 years old.
Oh my gosh.
So what? It's like anything I do. When I go big or go home. You know. And I started getting on heroin. I was addicted to heroin for probably 6 months to a year. And at that time, I'm 19 years old, man. Like I had a job. I had a good job. I was selling cars, you know, and making good money. And, but eventually that ran out, you know, cause I was using heroin, and heroin's expensive. Couldn't support that habit anymore. So me and a buddy, I had to move back home at this time to try to get sober from heroin. Me and a buddy thought it was a great idea. Well, we want to support our heroin habit. So what do? We're going to start selling meth. And
oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we start selling meth. Well, we can't afford it because our heroin habit has became too much at this point. So at 19 years old, we think it's a great idea. Oh, we're going to start cooking meth.
Oh my gosh.
No idea what we're doing. We're Googling it, you know, trying to figure out how to cook meth. And like, we're out here on an anhydrous tank trying to steal anhydrous, knowing like, hey, if this anhydrous touches us, like it could kill us, but we don't care because we're trying to support this.
Oh my gosh.
This heroin addiction.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like, we're out here trying to steal heroin or steal anhydrous. That didn't go well. I have no idea what we're doing. So then we're Googling, and we're like, oh, well, if we get Sudafed, you know, we can use Sudafed. There's a different way to cook it. So we go, and there's like 5 of us that drive over to Mason City, Iowa. We're living in Riceville at the time. And we're like, we're going to go buy a bunch of Sudafed. We're going to start cooking this meth. We're going to think we're, this kingpin of meth dealers, all of a sudden, get the Sudafed, start cooking meth, and it worked. Well, when you cook meth, you have to be up all night because when you hit the methamphetamine, it creates a huge cloud of smoke to crystallize it.
Okay.
So you don't want this cloud of smoke going up in the middle of the day, so everyone can see it. So we're doing it in the middle of the night. Well, you probably know from using opioids, heroin, which we're still using at the time, it's a depressant, and it makes you tired, sleeping, nodding off. So you're trying to cook in the middle of the night. Well, that doesn't work when you're tired.
Yeah.
So now we got to use meth.
Yeah.
So we're speedballing, we're smoking meth, snorting heroin, anything we can. And at that time,
at 19 years old.
19 years old. And at that time, it turned to, well, I got to stay up. So the heroin, I got to kind of push to the side. Can't do this anymore because I got to live. Like the big boy job is gone because I was selling cars. Like at the time, I was working at a dealership in Waverly. And I remember like I'd be out in a car snorting a line of heroin. And I don't know if you've ever done heroin, but when you do, the joke is if you don't puke, it ain't good. So I remember snorting a line of heroin, and some customers come up by a truck that I'm sitting next to snorting this line. Well, I just get done snorting the line, and I go out to talk to the customer.
Puking.
I start puking all over the customer's feet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, start puking, and that instantly, you're fired, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where I moved back to Riceville and had to get my life together. That just involved then cooking the meth, and turning to methamphetamine. Was at 19, I would say, got sober, not really sober from that, but my problem was I always replaced it with something.
Yeah.
So in my mind, like with the heroin, I no longer was on heroin. I was clean.
Yeah, got away from that.
I was clean from heroin, but I replaced it with meth. Well, then when I replaced, got clean from the meth, then it was, I started doing prescription pills again. That's okay. They're prescribed, I was making excuses. And all along this time, I'm drinking. That one never stopped during that time.
Yeah.
But I just kept replacing it, trying to get a new high.
Yeah.
So that went on for a long time, of a few years of the pills, cocaine, whatever I could get my hands on to. Then I got, this was back in 2009. No, it would have been before that. 17 or 18. I got on meth every day. I was smoking meth for 5 years of my life.
Wow. Tell me about a time when you were like the most messed up. What was your life like at that point in time?
In my eyes, it was great at the time. My life was a mess.
Did you have relationships? What was that like with the people that were coming in and out of your life?
So all along this time, I was with my high school sweetheart.
Oh.
Yeah. She was a great woman. She stood by me through the whole thing, very naive to what was going on. I believe she knew, but didn't want to. She loved me enough to not want to really intervene and didn't want to lose me. But she was a rock. She stuck with me through everything. But I hurt her. I hurt her bad. I was out screwing other women, worried about getting high, not coming home to her, and Keith got to do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't care about what Maria, thought was going on. I didn't care about her feelings at all.
Yeah.
It was just what Keith wanted to do.
Yep. I can remember a time in my life very similar to that where it didn't, I felt like I had no responsibilities, even though I had a child. I had an infant child. I had, I had a relationship. I had a mortgage. I had all this stuff that I had to take care of, but I was still just so self-centered and so selfish and so just about me and what I was doing, to the point where I wouldn't come home. You know what I mean? I'd blow everything off. If I went home, the party was over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had to stop.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
When I can roll this into another day, So yeah.
Yeah. And there was a lot of that. And using for me, I was my money, and I'm making the money. I'm using my money to party and get high. And this lady, she's having to sit and take care of our bills.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's still a part in my heart that I have a lot of resentment towards, unforgiveness towards myself for. And the way, we treated, people when we were in our active addiction.
I don't think we were recording yet, but we were talking about, it's the scars that we put on other people that even in our sobriety affect us the most, even today. Because as much as we're able to turn shame into guilt and be able to apologize for that guilt that we've felt, it doesn't take it away. The scars were still there. I still did that to somebody. You know what I mean? Those are the things that I've had a lot of guests come on, and that's kind of when you look back at your life and there's all these crazy highlight reels and memories of, these parties and good times and things like that. There was always somebody that was counting on you to show up that you didn't show up for. And sorry, man, I get emotional about this stuff because it's dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that.
That's probably the hardest thing to deal with in the sobriety, is to know how many people you hurt in your active addiction for the selfishness of me having fun and me getting high, is for sure the hardest thing to deal with now, is being sober, is knowing I guess for me, it's questioning too, how would I have been a different boyfriend? How would I have been a different son? How would I have been a different friend if I wouldn't have went, through this? Would my life, would I have been still, with the people I was with, friends I had, would I still have those friends if I would have been the Keith I am now?
Yeah.
And that's something that eats me up like daily. And I think about is like, sorry, I got to tread lightly on this, but, and I've never admitted this, but like, what would my relationship have been with my ex if she had the Keith that she deserved and the Keith that there is now? Like, don't kid yourself. Like, God put me with an amazing woman.
Yeah.
And I love my wife. And like, I know, like, I am with the woman I'm supposed to be with.
Well, there's
like,
proof of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get to it, but there's proof of that.
Absolutely. Like, and I know, like, I'm put in the right place and like, it's God's will, but you question. And I maybe you don't battle with that, but like, I question all the time, like, what would have our relationship been if,
you know what, Keith? I think that's why forgiveness is so important. That's why Jesus teaches us forgiveness. Not to get into the gospel just quite yet, but I do want to just drop a pin here. Forgiveness is so important for you to be able to forgive other people. You know what I mean? Even when they hurt you so bad. And for anybody that's listening, that's why we're called to love, because if you're going to love somebody, you have to be able to forgive them as well. Right.
Yeah.
And, do I regret all the scars that I put on people? Absolutely. Have I been forgiven for a lot of that stuff? I have. By the grace of God, I have. Because I've also forgiven myself, and that's how I can like move forward each day. And like, when times in the pit of my addiction, and like I've alluded to it a few times, but like I got to a point where I was ready to end my life, and it's because of all those things. But because I've been able to turn shame into guilt and apologize for what I've been feeling guilty for with a lot of the people that I've hurt. And, sometimes forgiveness doesn't come, but just a little bit of forgiveness can change somebody's life. It can change a parent's life. It can change a friend's life. It can change an old relationship's life. And just to say, I'm sorry, and admit that what you did was wrong. You know what I mean? To take some accountability. And ask to be forgiven. And if somebody asks you to forgive them, I mean, that's like, there's no greater gift that you can give them. Sorry, I just wanted to drop a pin on that because I think that's important stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry.
You're good.
Rabbit hole. I tend to go down those every now and then. But yeah, keep going.
But yeah, I guess the big thing is the unforgiveness. And that's something I'm still working through. And for me, it's forgiving myself. I know that the relationships, like you said, I've hurt, like they've asked for forgiveness, and I've given like I've forgiven them, and things like, my parents did, like I've forgiven them. I've forgiven my mom for deciding to leave my dad and cheat on my dad. Like, I've forgiven her, and I love my mom, but I don't know that I've forgiven myself for the way that I handled the situation.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is something and that, to me, I don't know that I'm looking to grow. It's growth. And that's something I think we need to strive on every day, to be better men is growth. And for me to I don't know that it's that I don't forgive, but it's that I don't want to be that person again. And that if that situation's ever in front of me again, and that's, I think, what it is the knowing who you were and wanting to grow out of that. So you're not that person.
It's the contrast, bro.
Yeah.
It's the contrast. And I think that, not to skip ahead, but that's what keeps me sober today is taking inventory of those timelines where I hurt people. And I'm like, I never, ever want to do that again. Cause and all of that was brought on by intoxication, euphoria of some way, shape, or form. It's something got in my system that wasn't natural, that wasn't like normal. Yeah. And because I'm an addict, I went overboard on it, and I let it take control, and I reacted to certain situations in ways that just are inhumane. Yeah. They're inhumane at the end of the day. they're not good. They're not joyful. There's no fruit of the spirit involved in the way that I treated people. And I'm sure that you can relate to this, you know what I mean? And you just never want to be in that situation again. And I think that's what keeps me sober, dude.
100%.
Like I truly do. I think if anybody, like that's the greatest advice that I could give somebody is think about all the things that you've done to hurt people. If you really take accountability and you really truly think about those, like all of the ways that you've hurt people, and this, you can't even feel that. Like you can't even scratch the surface of those feelings until you get sober. But like once you do, take account of all that and remember who you were.
Yeah.
So you can stay who you are.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Sorry, dude.
So good.
I just get totally wrapped up in some of that stuff because I was just such a shitty fucking person, man.
Yeah. But to think where we are now.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy about where I am now. Sorry. Let's get back to you, man. You were talking about unforgiveness. We kind of got into, like some of like how the worst of who you were. Take me into who, like, keep going on who Keith was back in the day. Cause I think it's important to, remember that.
I think the biggest thing is that, well, are we getting into the God part now? Cause I mean,
yeah, we can.
At the end of the day, also with my past and using and everything else and growing up, not in a Christian house. And like, I had a lot of, not a resentment, but I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in God at all until a year ago. I hated him. Like I had that. And I really like dove into how this came about. And I love my dad and I know I'll see him one day. But I remember as a kid growing up, my brother was dating this girl and they were involved in this church. And it was, I just remember him calling him a bunch of Bible thumpers and a cult, and like, and that's my dad. Like, so I got to, like, he's called these people Bible thumpers and a cult. And like,
yeah.
So
that's your role model. That's the guy that you wanted to be your role model is calling these people that. Yeah.
Ever since that day, I was just like, anyone who I saw at church, Bible thumper, and like just had this resentment towards God. And obviously, like, I'm using drugs and doing all these things. I'm losing friends. I had a childhood friend get killed in a car accident in high school. Like, how can God be real if these things are happening?
Yeah.
Like, how can God be truly real if this girl at 16 years old or 18, she was 18 at the time, got killed in a car accident? Like, God can't be real. And Dad said that if you go to church, you're a Bible thumper. Like,
yeah.
What is it like? And I grew up not wanting anything to do with church and thinking like that's a bad life to live. That's that's not the right way to live because they're Bible thumpers. But like the weird thing is knowing now, like, so I told you my dad and I fished tournaments together.
Mm-hmm.
The tournaments we used to fish were called Fishers of Men tournament trials. Fishers of Men.
That's biblical.
100% biblical. And like, I just remember going to these tournaments and my dad like, hey, I just want to let you know, we got to sit through this little Bible prayer group. And
ignore this part.
Yeah. Like just ignore this. And like, it's about the fishing, but like knowing what I know now about my dad, like my dad actually was very faithful. And I didn't realize this until I found my faith and I ran into old friends of my dad's. He's like, yeah, your dad grew up in church. Your dad was like with his first wife was always in church. Like my dad, he called these people Bible thumpers. What do you mean my dad was in church? Like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was very faithful. Why he went away from that, I don't know. But
why wouldn't he have wanted you to have that? I wonder if at some point or another he was hurt.
I don't know. And that's not I'll know that one day when I get to ask him.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. And that's all these questions like I have now of like, why didn't we grow up in church? Why didn't we? So I don't know if that was something, you know, my mom wasn't necessarily as involved in.
Yeah.
But yeah, all growing up, it was church was bad.
Yeah.
If you will.
So you had no foundation.
No.
Just none.
No.
Just none. Before we get into the God stuff, because I know it's coming, and we're gonna talk about that, because me and you turned me on to something last weekend that like we'll get to it. What was life like when addiction, like really, like when you knew like it was bad, and what was life like for you? Because for me, Keith, like I can remember a time, and I've talked about this on the show several times, but I'll just reiterate here, because I mean, I can remember like getting up in the morning, drinking. Like I'd stop at the store and grab like a 10-pack of Fireball shooters. I'd sneak over to the grocery store to buy groceries, but I was really buying a box of wine so I could hide how much I was actually drinking. A box, so you couldn't see into the bottle. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't see how much I was drinking.
Yeah.
And then like I would go through like multiple like bottles of that Pinnacle vodka, like the taller liter bottles or whatever, and I'd have several of those like in the liquor cabinet, or you know, I'd also have like little bottles like stashed in my car around the house. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it got to a point for me with that level of drinking, hiding it, sneaking it, right? I'm a sneaker. You know, when my addiction gets the best of me, I sneak it. I hide it, and I don't tell anybody about it, and it creates all of this like this big ball of like shame for me. Yeah. And I go down, and it's just terrible. And for me, like I would get to a point where I couldn't hold my hands still. I couldn't have more than like a 30-second conversation with people without like losing my brain. Yeah. And by losing my brain, I mean like I couldn't pay attention. Yeah. I couldn't focus. I couldn't get like, I didn't have my vocabulary anymore. I'm a pretty like talkative guy, you know what I mean? And my kids are very talkative. So can you imagine me not being able to like talk because I was so messed up or so hungover or so spun out on alcohol? Was it like that? Did you get to that point?
Yeah. So I think that's something I still am dealing with the side effects from.
Yeah.
Because
you got to let your brain heal still.
Yeah. I was always like, as a kid, the light of the room, the talking, the fun, energy, like just everyone, if you will, they like formed around me because I just always brought good energy, and like I could have a conversation. I still battle with that sometimes of like losing my words, where I used to be able to talk. I could sit and have a conversation with myself for an hour, bro. Like, there didn't even have to be anyone else in the room, but I could sit and talk. And now like I still battle with that of not being able to focus. So I think that's something that's long-term too, that we have to learn again through the damage we did through active addiction.
It took me like the better part of a year, maybe more, to like get through some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think your brain is actually so damaged that it needs to heal. You know
absolutely.
What I mean?
Absolutely. But for the addiction part, like I didn't hide it. I did with the meth and the heroin and everything, because obviously those are bad.
But like, broadcast.
when I got out of that, and you know, it was Memorial Day of 2022 is when I gave up meth. I'm sober, bro. You know, I gave up meth. Like, I don't know what the statistic is, but I see it all the time. Like only 2%.
Yeah.
You know, get free from meth and then they stay clean. But I was lying to myself. I wasn't sober. I just started drinking.
Yeah.
And when I was drinking, I got my wife, and this is why I didn't have to hide it, because my wife was going down the same path as I was with the drinking every night. Like, dude, I was on the way home from work. Mind you, at the time, I'm working 4 minutes away from my house. And I'm calling my wife on the way home, pour the shots of Rumplemans. We're taking shots as soon as we get home.
Can't wait to party with you.
And we're
just salivating.
yes. And we're like, so I didn't have to hide the alcohol. And you know, I had all these friends from drinking that like, yeah, I'm a drunk. Like, it's cool. Like, we go out and we get drunk every night and we do stupid stuff and joke about it the next day. But like, my body was hurting. It got to the point where every morning when I got up, I'm throwing up, and I'm throwing up till noon. And you know, it's like, I got into this role of, oh, I'm going to get drunk at night, and then I'm going to puke till noon. At noon, I can finally get food and water in my system so that I can be sober by 6 o'clock when I get off, and I can start drinking again and just repeat the cycle. And it's all it was just rinse and repeat, you know, just
in the moments of like sobriety that you could go between, like, you know, got shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter.
I was taking lunch breaks and going to get drunk.
Yeah, bro.
You know, telling the technicians, you know, hey, let's go get lunch at the bar, and we'll have a drink while we're there. You know, I couldn't wait till the end of the day, and that would, a lot of the time, that would get me to where I could function. The shaking, like you talked about, the puking that I was going through, like, that was the worst, was the puking every day, bro. Of just,
it scared me so bad because I feel like I would get so close to like actually passing out from puking so hard. And I was like, I don't want anybody to find me in the bathroom dead.
Yeah.
From throwing up. I like, in the beginning, I'd lock the door, like, oh no, I don't want anybody to know that I'm in here puking. But it got to a point where I was like so scared that like I was going to die in there on the floor that I had to leave the door unlocked because I didn't want my wife to have to like pry the door open to get me out of there, and it might save my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just sucked.
And that was every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's what the body goes through after vomiting too. Like I don't know. I can remember it, and it was horrendous, man.
Yeah.
Felt like a monster.
And I don't know about you, but I battled with the acid reflux real bad.
Yeah, me too.
Bro, I remember going in to the doctor, and she's like, you got to stop drinking. Like, you're killing your stomach. And that's what was making me puke, was the acid reflux and the heartburn. And I'm like, no, I'm not stopping drinking. Give me a pill to make it so I don't go through this, to where I can continue to drink. It worked for a while, but the alcohol superseded the pills, you know, like, and I was going to the doctors like, what can you give me so that I can, well, you got to quit drinking, Keith. See if this gets fixed by stopping drinking. No, not an option.
Yeah.
Not an option, Doc.
Same.
Drinking is where I'm going. Like, it's what I do.
It's legal. I can do it.
Yeah. And to go on that, sorry, you're going to get me on a little tangent here, but the legality part, like, it makes it so it's in society, it's okay to drink. And I think it's the most messed up thing that our society does now is drinking's legal. Drinking's cool, you know? Oh, we went out and got drunk and we slapped John David's hog on the ass and rode it down the, you know, like, whatever, you know, Farmer John's, we went and went and rode their cows, you know, the stupid shit we would do as a kid. But like, it was cool because, I got drunk and then I went and had the balls to jump on the back of a cow out in the pasture. Or I went and, you know, crashed a car, you know, and people, our society is so messed up with joking and laughing
and
about
they think it's cool,
stupid stuff we do when we drink. And like, where is our world saying, no, man, like, that's not okay. And I thank God for what is happening in this world now, because it is finally coming to light. Like, this isn't the life we live. But like, for how many years was that the cool thing to do, was to go out and get drunk and get messed up and talk about all the things you did when you were drunk. Oh, I had sex with this woman and this woman. We had a threesome. We did this. Like, bragging it up. And like, it's so messed up that that's what our world is like, it's cool to do.
That's culture. And that's what our children are going to battle. You know what I mean? I've got a 22-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a baby. And that culture right there will not be glorified in my house.
Correct.
It will not be glorified in my house.
Amen.
Because, and that's the generational like break. You know what I mean? That, and my parents are great parents. They never were like, we went out and we got drunk and it was awesome. Never did my mom tell me that. Never did my dad tell me that. But I'm not going to lie. For my 22-year-old son, he saw me get drunk and brag about it.
Yeah.
And thank God he's not a drinker. You know what I mean? My 22-year-old son is awesome. I don't know how he like slipped through like the narrow gap. It had to be his good mother in the way that she raised him, but like, dude, that kind of lifestyle will not be glorified in my house ever again. And yeah. I pray that culture doesn't get on our kids. I literally pray for that. I ask Jesus for that every day. It's like, save my sons from this culture. Yeah. Please don't let them think that that's cool, because it's going to hurt them. And I'm so scared for them.
Yeah. To know what we had to go through to, get the testimony we have now.
Yeah.
I don't want any of whether it's my kids or your kids, I don't want anyone to have to think that that's socially okay or cool to do, or like live that life to realize, hey, well, maybe I should have listened to dad, and this isn't the way to live,
Dude, there's so many things that I should have ended up in jail, dead, or like, yeah, there was a lot of like stupid stuff that I did. Yeah. So much stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So many people that got hurt. So many feelings that got hurt. I can remember, not going to name any names or details, but I was at like a party at one point, very in my 20s, and I was so arrogant and rude to this girl. You know what I mean? And I was just rude for no reason at all. And like every time she saw me after that, like it was just kind of like, you're a bad guy. And at some point, I think I actually got to apologize. I know I did. I actually got to apologize for it. And she goes, dude, you were really mean. You're really like that. And this was just some random person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't do that to people. You don't be mean to people. We're called to love.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, in the end, I'm so happy that sobriety won in my life. I'm so happy that sobriety won in your life. But tell me about how you got to sobriety. Give me the story as to like what happened, because you're like being a heavy drinker, going home, pour the Rumplements, and we're going to start drinking. You know what I mean? Like, how'd you go from that to who you are today?
I honestly, one night I was sitting there, and it was after years of going repeat and, redo of the drinking. And I kept battling with the fact after my dad passed away. And I love my dad, and it was every night.
How old were you when this happened?
He died. He passed away in 2020.
Okay.
So I would have been 29 years old.
Yeah.
Every day though, I would drink, and I would get in this funk of, and I didn't even tell my wife this, but she knows now, but I would sit there and I'd be like, I just want to go see my dad. Tired of this life I'm living, like drunk, wake up, work. I got no life. Like I just do the same thing. I get drunk and I work. I get drunk and I work. Same thing over and over again. And I'm like, there's no purpose to this.
There's no fruit here.
Yeah. There's no purpose to my life whatsoever. And I was just like, you know what? I'm ready to go see dad. Like I'm ready to go live with, to go up.
To die.
Yeah. To die and to be with dad. And it hit me that night. There's actually, you will see in my house, and I will not get rid of this. If you go into my kitchen, there's a rug that covers it. But I was so ready and so angry all the time that the one night I had my gun in my hand, and instead of shooting myself or shooting somebody else, I shot the floor. For some reason, and all I wanted to do was pull that trigger. I had that in my hand, and I was so angry and just so tired of the life I was living. But instead of putting it to my head, I shot the floor. And that bullet hole, and I will not redo the floor. My wife has asked me, I won't do it, because that reminds me every day if I move that rug where I was and the life I don't want to live anymore with that one hole. And I was just broken. I was tired of being broken, tired of being beat down. Like, I knew there was more for me. And at this point, like, I saw my brother, who had battled through a lot of the same things, change his life around. And I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Like, what can it hurt? Like, this life that I'm living, like, I know where it's going to end up getting me. It's going to end up, I'm going to not shoot the floor next time. I'm going to put that gun to my head, and I'm going to pull the trigger. Cause like, I just was done. And at this time, like, I have the money, I have all the worldly desires, the success. Like, yeah, I'm not rich, but like, I don't have to worry about living paycheck to paycheck anymore. I got nice cars, a nice house that I own. Like, I'm good. But I was broken. Yeah. Like, I was broken to be on, like,
yeah, you had achieved success, and what success had given you was nothingness.
It was empty.
Yeah.
It's completely empty.
Emptiness.
It gave me just the ability to drink more. It gave me the ability to do more drugs. Like, that's all it did, you know? And at that point I knew, like, this wasn't the life. And I remember telling myself that night that I wanted to go be with Dad, that this isn't the life that Terry wanted me to live. This is not the life my dad ever wanted for me, was to be miserable, to be broken. Like, he wanted me, and I know that for a fact, because my dad had the biggest heart in the world. He loved everybody. And I knew, like, that was something that I knew that was on my heart, was to love others, to not care so much about Keith. You know, I did all those selfish things, but it was to love others. But to be honest, I didn't know how to do it. Every time I had loved somebody in the past, I was hurt. So how do I love people and not get screwed over? How do I help people and then them want to help themselves? And at that moment, I knew, like, I had to change my life to do what God had called me. At that time, I didn't know God had called me because I didn't believe. I still wasn't a believer, bro. Yeah. Till a year ago, I didn't believe in God. But I knew I had to make a change. And I knew my brother had made a change. And I knew I had to explore a different avenue of life. So I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna talk to him. And
what's the playbook look like?
And I remember going into his office after no calling, no showing the night before to work, or the day before to go to work. And I went into his office. I start bawling. I'm like, bro, this ain't the life. I know there's more for me. And like, this isn't my life. And he goes, dude, you need to start working out. Get your mind right. Get healthy. Like, start working out with me. Yeah. So I remember going to his house the next day to work out. And we're talking. And he just starts, and he knows, like, at this time, like, I don't want to hear this Jesus crap. Like, don't talk to me about Jesus. I don't want to hear it. So I'm going to rewind a little bit here. Yeah. So my brother went through the program that I ended up going through, brought these guys to our dealership that he owns and that I'm working for at the time. They walk in with these Jesus is King shirts. And yes, they walk in with these Jesus is King shirts. And I'm like, man, these guys
don't do it.
They talk about Jesus. I'm out. Like, do not put me in this spot, Sal. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to make a scene. Like, don't put me around these people. It's not my thing. So I sat through it, but
so was it Steve and
it was
Frank?
It was Frank and Guy Jones. And so he brings them to the dealership, and like, they're doing a team building exercise, but they're wearing Jesus is King. And I'm like, nope, not having anything to do with that. And I sat through it. But then as so he's talking, obviously going fast forward into where we're at his house working out. He's talking about it and talking about God. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, it is what it is. The working out's what's going to do it for me. Just getting my mind right and healthy, being healthy. And then he's like, hey bro, like, would you be willing to go to Texas with me in 2 weeks? We're going to do some lunges. We're going to do an ice bath. Like, let's just work out. I'm like, all right, screw it. Like, yep. He's paying for the trip. Like, it's a trip to get out of work in Dallas. Like, maybe I'll get something out of it, not knowing what's, gonna happen down there. Like, bro, you got to experience it. So knowing like a guy who doesn't want anything to do with Jesus, doesn't want, like, is broken, just getting sober. Like, I'm 2 weeks sober going through this program, going through that experience, the launching pad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you imagine?
No.
Being you, like,
no.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Freshly sober, and like, that's what you get to experience. And you don't like God. Like, you at that time, like, you don't like God.
You're totally turned off. Your dad didn't like God. You have no connection to God. You don't respect God.
No.
To be completely like, and what Keith is talking about is an intensive weekend. And you just have to see it I'll let you explain it, but it's one of them. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Yeah. I want you to finish before I give my take on it. Cause I did it last weekend and it was wild.
All right. So as we go to Texas, you
guys flying or driving?
We flew in.
Okay.
Flew in, get to Texas. And I'm like, cool. We're going to work out, get there. And the first thing they start with is, hey guys, I need you to just start with your deepest, darkest secret.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy, like, these guys, like, they're big macho dudes lifting weights. Like, they very successful people. Like, I'm not this at all. Like, as far as like, I've been doing drugs and like, I'm a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go in front of these dudes and be like, yeah, I was high on meth. I don't believe in God. Like, all these things. And like, I started crying when I was, had to go through that and say that, because that was the first time I'd ever told anyone, and another man at that, like, all the things that I had struggled with.
Yeah.
You
peeled back the layers and exposed the
right away.
Yeah.
And then we get through the lunges, man. And like, we're doing the lunges and I'm like, cool, it's a workout. Like, didn't really get anything from it, but that was my take on it. It's just lunges, man. Like,
yeah.
I'm 2 weeks sober, so I'm still battling with withdrawals and everything else. And here I am doing lunges, sweating galore. Like, what the hell am I doing here? And then we do the ice bath. You sit in that ice bath, and I was just cold. I was cold, didn't feel anything. But man, we got to the worship. We got into worship, and I didn't know how to worship. I don't believe in God. I've never read the Bible. I don't like. They're like, put your hands up, So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through the steps here. Like, woo-hoo-hoo.
Everybody else in the room is doing it. I'll throw my hands up.
I'm going to throw my hands up. I'm going to do what everyone else is doing, I guess. Well, then I remember I'm sitting there and I'm worshiping, and a guy I know, and he's a dear friend of mine, laid his hands on me. And puts his hands on my chest, and he's praying over me. And I just remember him praying, and then he starts speaking in tongues and praying and praying. And all of a sudden, like, my legs give out, and I hit the floor. And I'm on the floor, and I'm crying. He's just continuing to pray, and I'm on the floor, and I'm crying, and my body's shaking. And I just remember, like, and one of the guys who had his hands on me was like, dude, it felt like a jackhammer was going off in your body. He goes, like, your whole body was just convulsing. I don't know. I'm bad. Convulsing. Yeah. But like, just shaking uncontrollably, and like, not knowing what's really going on, but I know I'm crying, and and this whole time I'm just thinking to myself, like, God, if you're real, like, I'm here. and I want to live a different life. So show me you're real and I'll change my life. In that moment, my body went still and I feel a father's arms wrap around me and say, it's going to be okay. I'm with you. And at that moment forward, I knew that God was real. He just, like, I'm a guy that has done nothing but talk bad about him. I'm a guy that's done nothing but live a life that would not be the life that Jesus lives. And he just touched my heart. He's got something for me. Like, I don't deserve this, you know? And I know he's real at this time. I'm like, at that moment going forward, I'm like, I'm giving my life to him. I gave my life to Christ that day and just been set on fire since. And like, that is where this whole journey begins. It's just like, at that moment, I knew when he showed me God is real, I knew he had a bigger plan for me. And I knew that the life I was living was no longer the life I have to live anymore. And that's no longer the Keith that is today because he's given me a new identity.
Yeah. You're made new.
Given me a new purpose.
Yeah. 2 Corinthians 5:17 will tell you that, yeah, you're made new. Once you're with Christ, you're new. The old is gone. The new is here.
Yeah.
And something new happened that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like the unconditional love that he gives us too. The love we don't deserve.
Yeah.
And he still loves us.
Yeah. 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 No matter what. No matter what.
Yeah.
So you were kind enough to rent a 15-passenger van last weekend.
Yeah.
Got an Airbnb and took a group of us down to Texas to experience the same thing that you went through. And brother, I'll tell you what, all I knew was lunges. All I knew was like it had something to do with faith. I didn't know who Steve was. I didn't know who Frank was. I didn't know. And me and you are buddies, but I wouldn't say that we were like super tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
we
I didn't
knew each other, but yeah.
Yeah. But my experience was similar to yours. You know, like I was super worried because I just had my hip replaced and my other one is bad. But like you were next to me, dude, like somehow, some way doing those lunges, like I was able to, like I was in it. Like I was a little tender on the one side and I couldn't do on the side that's still bad as much as I thought. But the ones that I was doing on the right side, I was coming like all the way through it. So I was very surprised by that. The experiencing ice bath was tremendous. You were somebody that prayed over me in that moment, and you and another guy, and it was remarkable. Seeing and feeling the Holy Spirit in the room that day is something that I will never ever forget. And I felt it, Keith. Like it wasn't like, I mean, you start seeing people like speaking in tongues and kind of like having these moments, and like when the guys came over and they put their hands on me, I didn't convulse, but I definitely felt compelled to drop to my knees. And it was hot, and I felt something, and I don't know how to explain it, dude, but it was like an encounter with the Holy Spirit, and it was crazy, man. And we walked away that day. I think it changed. I've done a lot of the stuff that they were doing in that weekend already in my life, so it was kind of like. It was like a refresher for me, but it definitely lit a fresh fire, if you will. Yeah. So it was awesome, man. It was an incredible experience. If there's any guys out there that are yearning for a fresh fire from Christ, I would highly suggest that you find a way to make it down to the launching pad in Dallas, Texas, and go through that situation. It was radical.
Yeah, and I honestly, and I think we talked a little bit on the way home, but like with how it's set up, I didn't know how somebody like you, who's been so strong in your faith and like living the sober life already, like what you would really take out of it.
Yeah.
So to see what you got out of it, like it still works. Like it's still.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
still a useful. It's still a useful
100%,
exercise. Absolutely.
100%. And like that's why I was like nervous what you would get out of it. I knew I wanted you to go, but just because I like seeing your podcasts and everything, like knowing how on fire you are for God. But I was like, is he really going to get out of this what everyone else is that really has junk to still really lay down? You know?
Yeah.
So like that was honestly eye-opening for me to see and know like, hey, it doesn't matter where we're at in our walk with Jesus.
No,
there's still more room for growth.
Absolutely.
There's still more room for him to move in our life and to show us a different, a more bolder way of living for him.
Yeah. So I look at it like this, dude. There's a lot of people out there in the world that have like their favorite sports team or like the things that excite them and they get like geeked about. You know what I mean? I get geeked about God. Like truly that's the thing that like fires me up the most. Like my wife and I are Packers fans, her more than me probably, but like at the same time, like we're Packers fans. And I love it when the Packers win. And when it's at the end of the game in the fourth quarter and they throw a Hail Mary pass to win the game and it's like, oh yeah. But when you get to see God move in people's lives, I'm not going to name names, but there's a few guys that rolled down there with us that had an experience that and you got to see the Holy Spirit work in their lives. I mean, from the lunges to like almost like I'm looking back and I'm seeing this guy almost vomit. You know what I mean? And he's like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. To the ice bath, to what he experienced in being able to let go of some of the stuff. The only way that happens is with God.
Yes.
And that right there excites me way more than the Packers winning on a Hail Mary pass at the end of the game or a Super Bowl win or anything else like that. Getting to see the Holy Spirit move in other people's lives is the most exciting thing that you'll ever watch in the entire world.
Yes.
For me anyways. And once you flip that switch and turn the fire on, and the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to get bigger and bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the more you get around godly men and godly people and watch it move, like it only gets better.
Dude,
so
the way to see the people's like faces change when they come in, they're straight faced, and then
kind of nervous, kind of
the joy of
reserved.
the Lord, after it gets through and they're like smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, dude, that's the fruit.
Yes.
Joyfulness is fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
When you shed the flesh and start living with the Spirit, by the fruit, that's it. Joyfulness.
And that's what keeps bringing me back there. Like I've had numerous guys like, why do you keep going down to serve? Cause it's like, as going through serving, I don't get to go through, the whole exercises like the guys going through it. I don't do the lunge. I do the lunges with you.
Yeah.
But I don't do the ice baths. I'm not in the middle of worship. Like I'm doing the praying over people, but bro, why I do it is because the joy that people get and the freedom that people get every time. Like our fruit's not for us.
Yeah.
It's for other people. And like to see the fruit that these men gain when they go down there and the freedom they gain, like that's why I do it.
Yes.
That's why I continue to go back. That's why I rented a van and got the Airbnb because I knew what was going to happen when we went down there.
It's like seeing the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like literally getting to bear witness to like God moving in other people's lives. And it's a front row seat, dude.
100%. 100%. And like that's it's honestly more, I don't want to use the wrong words, fulfilling to see the transformation that other men get to have than it is for me to get to experience it.
Yeah.
That is really what it's about.
Yeah. There's the first time you went through it, I mean, you had to be selfish and do it for you. You know what I mean? But now you're going down to like watch other people get to experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's special. So what happened in your life after that?
So,
because you guys were, I mean, there were things that you were trying to achieve.
Yeah. So before even all this happened, my wife and I had been trying to have children for 5 years. We had tried and were unsuccessful at it. I was going through a 12-week program that Champions in Christ puts on throughout this after the launching pad. And everything was going great, like going real good. Like, my wife has came to Christ. My wife has got her family in church. Like, everything's like going great, bro. Like, can't ask for a better life. And November of last year, after dealing with 5 years of infertility, my wife and I got the best news ever. Like, the best news ever. We found out she was pregnant. Not only was she pregnant, but when we went in, God blessed us with twins.
Oh my gosh.
We had twins. Like, he didn't just, he multiplied, you know? So we're on this just crazy high of joy and just love and just everything great going on in our life. Everything's perfect. Like, you know, go from all the things we went to just now, like, he's finally answered. We have a baby, you know? We have babies. Not a baby, we have babies.
Yeah.
Bro. And I remember in December of last year going in for Kayla's 10-week appointment. And in that moment, we went from having the best news in our life to the worst news. We found out that she miscarried both the kids. And our joy was crumbled.
Yeah.
It was probably the hardest thing, and I've dealt with a lot, but that's the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, is losing a child that we've tried so hard for 5 years, tried so hard for, and just all we wanted was to be parents.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be parents for us. With our new faith, we wanted to raise God's kids. We wanted to raise his kids the way that he would want them raised, and that's all we wanted. And it was just ripped away from us. That quickly ripped away from us. And in that moment, mind you, we're fresh in our sobriety. My wife got sober the same time I did. She doesn't drink anymore. So we're fresh into sobriety. And this happens. And I look at my wife and I said, babe, I want to go get drunk. I'm tired of this. This is bullcrap. This is horseshit that he did this to us. That he took away his gift to us. Just like that. He took him away. And I had a lot of hurt. And I wanted to go back to drinking. And my wife looked at me and she goes, Keith, I know you're hurting. It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to fix anything. We leaned into our ministry. I leaned into the men at Champions in Christ. She leaned into the wives through there. And we remained faithful.
Stayed obedient.
The hardest thing ever, when you were gifted these children and they were taken from you. It's the hardest thing ever, is to remain faithful and obedient in that situation. But we knew that God had bigger plans for us. We knew that that wasn't what he wanted from us. He wanted us to be obedient. He wanted us to continue to do his work. So through that, with Hope City, we both got tied into the youth ministry, became youth leaders, and, you know, we're exploring options, whether it was adoption, maybe it was that God, you know, he wants us to just be parents to these kids. You know, there's a lot of kids that don't have fathers. There's a lot of kids that don't have mothers. And like, maybe that's what God's put on our hearts, is like, we're to step in these places. So we got very involved in Hope City in the youth side, and just kept trying, kept staying faithful. We knew that he would answer. We knew that he had plans for us, whether it was with children, whether it was with adoption. We knew there was something more in store for us, that our God is a God of good.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
And that wasn't God that took our children from us. It wasn't.
No.
It's hard to see when it happens, right at first, but we knew that he was going to bless us. We didn't know how, we didn't know when, but we knew he was going to bless us. With that, we remained obedient. And I can't stress that word enough. Obedience. Obedience. That when we are obedient, I don't believe that he is going to bless us without obedience, is my personal belief.
Yeah.
You
same.
have to be obedient to be blessed. And we did that. It was a couple months ago now. We got the best news again in our life. Bro, God is so good.
Yeah.
God is so good.
Come on.
Kayla is pregnant. And I believe it is fully because of our obedience that we now get to raise his child.
Praise God.
And our faithfulness that he answered our prayers.
Yeah.
And like everyone came alongside of us with prayer, and like the church and the ministry and all my friends and family, like we're praying and praying and praying. And like, bro, God's so good.
Yeah.
We got the best news ever with.
How'd you get the news?
We knew, kind of, she had missed periods.
Yep.
Or her period, and still had doubt, if you will.
Yeah.
Because you go through that, like, it's tough.
You stay on guard. It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like being like, okay, I need to hold this. I need to make sure, and we need to consistently pray over this.
Yeah. So, when we found out she was pregnant, it was just like, it's the biggest blessing in the world. I like words. I can't even describe it honestly in words. Other than it was all him.
Mm-hmm.
It was all him from over 5 years of battling with infertility, losing a child, remaining faithful, remaining obedient. He answered our prayers.
Yeah.
Like, it's only God. The doctors say we can't get pregnant. The doctors say
really
that she's got a blocked tube. It's not going to work.
So you guys went to all the fertility clinics and did all the testing and procedures and all the stuff Gabby and I did. Because we also battled for 4 years. I think I shared that with you. Yeah. And we also had a miscarriage. We found out that this is wild to me because like, if you go back, like my story is like very, very similar to yours. I mean, I didn't fire the gun, but I definitely had a gun shoved into my mouth at one point in time. And I was ready to end my life in my sickness and sobriety or inability to get sober. I knew I needed to get sober and I just couldn't. And, tried it so many times and ended up in a moment. God gave me a moment of absolute clarity, reminding me that like, this ain't for you. Trust me, and gave me kind of like a vision in that moment. And I truly like felt it. I'll tell the whole story another time, but that was on, you said Memorial Day? That like, so May of 2022. Yeah, I was also May of 2022 when I gave up alcohol. That day that I was here with the pistol in my mouth was May 17th of 2022. And God gave me a vision that day, and I pledged my obedience to him. I was like, God, I've done everything in this world to try to do it my way, and I can't. It never works out. I got to do it with you. It can only happen with you. And numerous things happen, but exactly 1,000 days later, Keith, after a miscarriage where we, like I don't know that like we ever saw like what do you call it? picture of the baby in the tummy.
Yeah.
What's that called? Ultrasound.
Ultrasound.
Yeah. We didn't see like multiple babies in there, but like our levels were so high that it was indicating that there was probably more than one child, which is crazy. I mean, I just found that out today that that you guys had twins brewing, you know what I mean? And we miscarried, what we thought was possibly multiple children. Anyways, long story short, my sobriety, started on May 17th, 2022, and my daughter was born on February 12th, 2025, which is exactly 1,000 days. And I had so many opportunities where I could have snuck and drank and done all those things. But instead of that, I mean, I've told you about kind of like how this building came into play, but like everything, like I was obedient, and he kept blessing the podcast and my sobriety and helping people and just telling me, Nick, you're doing the right thing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Keep doing that. And exactly 1,000 days later, we have this daughter. You know what I mean? And Keith, she is a living testament of God's faithfulness, which is exactly what your child is going to be as well.
So, you know, what's crazy is you shared that story when we were on the way back from Texas. So I get home the next day. Kayla goes, do you realize when we're due? I said, no. She goes, you know we're due on April 9th, right? She goes, what happens when this baby goes over by a couple days? What's April 12th?
No way.
What's April 12th? Easter. How is that not God? Like, but you shared that with me. I'm like, yep. Me and Nick just talked about this, and he was at 1,000 days. Like, I've remained faithful, and like Easter is on the 12th. Like, I think that's what's about to happen, babe. Like, I truly believe. Because it's a blessing from him.
Dude, it is. He makes it so obvious that this is my work. He wants, I truly feel like he wants to reveal himself to us, but it's like, he's got to be a little like cryptic sometimes. You know what I mean? But it's so obvious. Yeah. And it's so meaningful.
Like literally the next day after we had that conversation, Kayla goes, do you know what's 12th? I'm like, what? What are you getting at here? Like, I know you're Easter. I'm like, no way. Like, and I didn't share this with you until now, but like, I'm like, wow, Nick and I were just talking about this. And like, yeah, I think God's going to show himself here. Yeah. And say like, this was all me.
Yeah. 100%.
Which we know it was, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, craziness, man. He's so awesome. Yes. He's so awesome in the way that he like reveals himself to us, in the way that he challenges us to be obedient. And if we just do it. Yeah. You know, I've got this saying that I always say to people. I'm like, there's no victory and I should have. Right. And then I reference Matthew 16:24, and that's the verse that says, deny yourselves, pick up your cross and follow me. Yeah. Right. So what's your cross? Mine was alcohol. Or deny yourself alcohol and pick up your sobriety, your cross, and follow me. And if you do that, you will be blessed. Right. Mm-hmm. God doesn't tell you to do things for no reason. No. And it's very evident that like, if you like, you know, if you, are transparent with your wife and tell her everything about you that she needs to know. Tell her who you were, that it'll bless your marriage. You give up, you know, your addictions in this world or things that satisfy the flesh, and the fruits of the spirit start to show up in your life. It's not a great mystery to me anymore. Yeah. And it shouldn't be a great mystery to anybody else. But like these things that happen in your life, it's because of the obedience, dude.
100%.
And I think, coming back from Dallas that weekend, it was like me and you. It was like, what was it, like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, like just cruising. Nobody else is awake, and we're, chopping it up on like what's happened to us. And at the end of it, it's like, yeah, and it's obedience. It's obedience.
I think we said obedience probably 100 times throughout that conversation.
Yeah, but it is, man, and I cannot stress that to people in the world, that if you want to be like, if there's something that you're asking God for, that you're waiting on a miracle from Him, try obedience.
Yeah.
Go to church, read the Word, start doing things that He'd have you do. Give up the things that like you're addicted to. And I don't know what it is a lot of people are addicted to a variety of different things, from pornography to alcohol to drugs to, to their phones. Like, try fasting and getting rid of some of the stuff in your life that's blocking you from like having a holy life, and watch what God does for you. It happens. It does. And you and Kayla's story is a testament to that. It's just another one. You know what I mean? He wants to do good things for us. He does. He does. So I've got some questions, Keith. What's your biggest accomplishment since getting sober?
My biggest accomplishment since getting sober is being able to have led, I think I've led 6 people to Christ now.
Let's go.
That is my biggest accomplishment.
Yeah.
100% hands down. And it's leading people to Christ and letting them live a life that they were designed to live. And to break all those chains away, generational curses, or the whatever chains are holding them back, whether it is sobriety. Like, there's been multiple men that have became sober, reached out to me because of me sharing my testimony on Facebook, and like now they're getting sober. Like, that's my biggest accomplishment. Yeah. And it's not me. Like, it's not me.
It's the Holy Spirit.
It's the Holy Spirit. But yes, like, if you were to ask me, that is what I would tell you is my biggest accomplishment. Yes, as my life became a lot more fruitful. Yes, as my, like my relationship with my mom gotten better. Absolutely. My relationship with my family gotten better. Absolutely. But it's not, there's been a lot of good, a lot of great through all this. But as far as accomplishment goes, it is leading others to Christ.
Yes.
100%.
Well, that's the Great Commission, right? Yeah. That's what He wants us to do. Yeah. Yeah.
I love going in the trenches and finding the guys that like most people are scared of, and like, oh, they're not going to, no, they're going to change.
Yeah. Watch how powerful God can be.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. He didn't, when Jesus walked around on this planet, when He came here, He didn't hang out with like, people that, were already in the church.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with the holiest of holies. No, he was in the dirt, dude.
Yeah.
He was in the dirt. He was hanging out with the prostitutes, the people who had affairs, the thieves, the broken people, the paralyzed, the skin disease, the people that nobody else would touch.
Yep.
And He brought them closer to Him and changed their lives. So, walking around this world with Jesus' skin on, if you will, is like such an honor. It's such an honor. And when you can say, because of what I've done in somebody's life, they've turned their life over to Christ, which means that they get to live forever.
Yeah.
Instead of when they die, they live in a nightmare for eternity. They live in paradise for eternity. There's no price tag you can put on that, bro.
No.
And that's probably like until heaven is full, right?
Yeah.
Keep going. You're no longer just a fisherman of fish. You're a fisher of men. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could go back, what would you tell sober you on day 1 of sobriety? So back to that day where you decided enough is enough, but the rest of your life sober seemed like impossible. Because I remember my first day of sobriety, all I wanted to do was have another drink.
Yeah. And I battled with that for a long time. See, this is tricky. Because for me, when I didn't share this earlier, but like when I went down through that launching pad and I was battling with addiction for 2 weeks up to that. And when I went into that launching pad and had that encounter, dude, my addiction was taken. I don't struggle with wanting alcohol anymore. Like I don't. It honestly, if I smell it or eat, like it grosses me out. Like
really?
Yes. Like I don't struggle with it at all to the like right now. But I would say like I would tell myself like
get to the launching pad ASAP.
Yeah, or that it's gonna be okay. Like it's stay obedient.
Yeah.
And he's got a bigger plan for you.
Yeah.
Like I think it comes back to that obedient word.
Yeah.
That stay obedient. Stay obedient, Keith. And he will change your life.
He'll move that mountain for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, I that's one thing that's different for me than a lot of people, I think, that go through sobriety is like that day, it was taken. That addiction was taken from me.
Yeah.
Like,
incredible.
Just like I battled with it every day up until then and then gone.
Yeah. That's incredible. What's the biggest mess that you've cleaned up?
It's still in the works. I have a lot of, I've touched on this a little bit, but with my mom cheating and everything, I have forgiven her through it all. But I think I said this earlier. I haven't fully forgiven myself for how I handled it. My mom and my relationship used to be very, very strong. It's slowly getting back. But it honestly, it's a big achievement for me because for a lot of years I told myself like she's out of my life. I'm done with her. She's out of my life. And starting to mend that relationship, starting to let her back in has been probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Throughout all this is being able to have a relationship with my mom. That's still something I battle with and have feelings towards, but that would probably be it.
Yeah. That's special. Yeah. That's good. Honor your mother and your father.
Yes.
You're supposed to do that. Okay. Oh gosh, this is going to be good. You know if you're having a son or a daughter?
I do not.
Not yet. Okay.
I do.
Okay. But yeah, we're not talking about it. Got it. Roger.
No, I'm not, I don't know from a doctor.
Gotcha.
But I know what we're having.
Okay. All right. Someday you'll go to heaven. Mm-hmm. What's the one thing that you want your son or your daughter to know about you the most?
That I was a faithful servant for Jesus and that I was a mighty man of God that always preached the gospel, that always talked about God's goodness, that always loved people like Jesus loved us. I want my kids to be able to say that my dad had a passion for our Father.
Yeah.
And that is that's all I care to be known for, is that I was an avid follower of Christ and I always did God's work.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. That's so good. Any advice that you want to leave the listeners with before we?
Yeah. I don't care how far gone you are. Or you think you are. I don't care what you're going through. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
You are never too far gone for God to move in your life. I went from being somebody who hated God, and he still interrupted my life. He still wants to use you. He still has a purpose for you. There is light in his name. So it does not matter who you've hurt, what you've done. He's got a purpose. He has a purpose for you, and he can fill you full of so much love that you think you are getting from that thing you are addicted to. You think that your flesh is getting pleased, but it's not. He has something so much more joy for you, so many more bigger things for you, and you will find joy in something you don't think you can by just following.
Yeah. Amen. Cool. Well, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, bro.
That was
Such
awesome.
an honor.
Yeah. Appreciate you, brother.
Love you.
Love you too. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, I want to thank you with all my heart. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps us out. If you have questions about getting sober, parenting, or personal growth, email Nick at domesticdadproject.com with any questions about cleaning up the messes you've made. And if your question is discussion worthy, we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. Don't forget, you can watch any of these videos uncut and unedited, filmed in my studio from our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Domestic Dad Project. Also, please follow us on Facebook or share this episode on your social media. You can also join our community by grabbing some merch. It means the world to me to know that this podcast is making a difference in someone's life. And if this episode inspired you to get sober or simply become a better version of yourself, you can claim your free 60-minute coaching session by visiting www.domesticdadproject.com. Let's continue supporting each other to break the stigma around dads reaching out for help to get our lives on track while navigating the obstacles of fatherhood. Until next time, keep cleaning up the mess.